All right, so we're picking up from the last video, which means that we're going to be focused on creating this classes gallery and then the classes pages that go along with it. So if I hop back to my wireframe, we can see that we have kind of really two main parts to this page. We have some information that's very, very similar to what we had on that previous page with an image, a little bit of information about teaching school, philosophy, whatever it may be. And then down below we have this blue area with these different cards for each course above them. This should go pretty quick in just creating this, and then we'll see if we can get a template going for what an actual course looks like as well. So I'm a big fan of reusing things as much as possible. So I'm going to go ahead actually here and grab this welcome message and copy and paste it and bring it over here. I'll grab this text as well. Let's see, it said something like I teach school, exclamation point. Maybe let's left align this one. And then let's see, just to kind of keep things somewhat lined up compared to over here. We'll go ahead and grab the entire frame. We'll say layout grid. We'll go ahead and create one with columns, 12, and then we'll use that color again, just moving over to the green so we can see things a little bit better. We can see that we're not lined up perfectly, so I'll go ahead and move that over. Looks pretty good to me. I said that there needed to be an image there. I don't think I have one that's like super specific for school. I have some for classes down here, so we're gonna be kind of lazy and we're gonna reuse that image again one more time. So I'll grab this one, we'll come over here and bring it in. And then just like before, we're gonna make sure that we have some of the correct margins on the right-hand side. I gotta say that feels pretty close, so let's bring this over a little bit. Maybe that's about the same amount of space that we have between. So for what we're doing right now, we'll go ahead and say that that's pretty good. Let's check out the wireframe and see how the alignment was. It looks like maybe I teach was up a little bit higher, kind of flush with the top of this. So I'll move these things up. And yeah, I think we're in a good place there. Let's see. What we can do if we want to be extra sure is I'll come over here and I'm going to add another grid, but I'm going to do rows this time, and we'll do 12. And I can see the red, so just to kind of keep things quick and easy, we'll go ahead and use that. We'll just move this up a little bit. There we go. We'll bring this up. Make sure it's flush. Go ahead and hide that. So now we should be good to go. Let's see. I'm realizing that this page itself is going to be a lot longer than our landing page because there's more content there. And I can go ahead and actually just select these three down here, and I'm just going to move them down. Actually, I'm just going to drag them so we can go a little bit quicker. And then I can come over here to this classes page, and I can just grab the bottom of it and move it down. Sometimes our text will move like that, or different components inside will move like that. So I can just kind of move this back up. And that looks like it's in a good place, pretty aligned. Let's see, if we go back to our wireframe, we have this blue color here. And now that I'm kind of thinking more and more about this, maybe the dark background, almost black, wasn't the best choice for this because I didn't have it as white here. But you know what, for right now, let's just kind of leave things the way they are. If I want to create that kind of rectangle or that box that we have that's blue, I can hit my R key, and I'm going to go ahead and we'll start here and just drag until my corners line up. And then I'll go ahead and grab my fill color and we'll make it primary 1, which is that blue that we want. So now we have kind of the basis for this division between these two halves of this page here. I need to create the cards now that we have going across for the different courses themselves. So let's hit the R key for our rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and grab this and make a rectangle for the card. I have curved corners, so we need to go ahead and take our corner radius up here and we'll drag it till we like the way that it looks. And it looks like maybe 37 is a good number there. Now this is a repeating component that we can reuse over and over again, so if that's the case, then we want to turn this into a component. That way if we make changes to one of them, we can make changes to all of them. So if I like the size of this, which I want to go ahead and kind of see how this is going to feel with having 3 go across, because that's really my goal here, is to have a gallery where we have 3. I think that's a little wide maybe. If I come back over here and see how I have things, I have them a little bit more narrow. They kind of fit within the width of the content of this image on the right and this text on the left. So maybe let's zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those and maybe just make this a little bit smaller. And now, let's see, try to make it a little taller maybe so we can fit more content in there. Let me go ahead and paste these out. And yeah, that feels a little more manageable for me now. Maybe I can make them a little closer together. Keep them aligned. All right, I think that's the size that we want, which is great. So let me go ahead and move this up here. And the reason why I'm moving it out of the frame is because I'm going to go ahead and create a component out of this that I want to be able to reuse. And in reality, I could leave this in the frame itself, but for me, if I'm going to create a master component, I like to go ahead and take it out of the frame or out of the page that I'm working in. So that way I can just have the actual content that I want in there and make the changes to the master somewhere else. That's just the way I prefer to do things. Now I have this gray background here, which I'm not super in love with, but we'll go ahead and we'll keep it for now. Just for kind of this first pass at things, we'll probably make something a little bit more specific. I think in our wireframe we have kind of a secondary color here, so actually I don't know why we don't have that. We can go ahead and create the style and we can call this secondary. And then we'll come back over here and we'll change this to secondary, which isn't that big of a change, but it's enough that, you know, we chose it. All right, let's look at the wireframe and see what we have for the structure of these cards. Looks like we have an image, the course name. I think that says grade levels down below it as some kind of like subtext, and then some information about the course itself, maybe a quick little description or a little blurb, and then a learn more button. So let's go ahead and come in here and let's start building those different pieces out. I'm going to start with my oval tool by hitting O and go ahead and create this as the icon, and we can't see anything there. So let's go ahead and change this color to, let's try our background color just to kind of see how that works. Or actually maybe we'll, instead of that, let's use the secondary primary color. Again, not in love with that blue on that gray. Kind of have things as transparent here, and now the more that I'm thinking of it, let's get rid of that. Let's change our fill. Let's do secondary, but I'm gonna actually unlink it and just gonna use that as a starting place, and then let's come a little bit darker. So something like that maybe. Now I'm even almost wanting to swap these two colors and have this darker one be the background, the lighter one be the foreground, but for right now, we'll kind of keep things as they are. Let's see, we need some text to go along with that, so I'll go ahead and say course title. Should probably be capitalized. We'll make this an H3 and see if the sizing looks right. It's a little cramped. I know we're going to have some subtext that goes right below that, so let's go ahead and do a copy and paste, bring this down, and let's see what we have for our sizes. Paragraph's a little, I'm going to have some paragraph text here, obviously. I'm going to unlink this, and I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to go ahead and just to kind of make this stand out, I'm going to capitalize it, and we're going to say grade levels, and I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And just make sure that we're lined up the way that we should be there. Looks like we're not quite. All right, cool. And then let's hit our text key by T and go ahead and bring in a frame, or rather some text that we can make paragraph level. So I'll just say hi real quick. And let's change this to paragraph, which it should be already actually now that I think about it. Go ahead and select it. We'll right click, we'll say plugins, lorem ipsum, we'll auto generate. So just a couple of lines, not very much for us, but that's really all we need. And I gotta say, this feels pretty compressed. This feels pretty tight. It seems like it's gonna be hard to kind of fit all the information on here that we want to. Not in love with the way that this looks, if I'm being honest with you guys. So let's do something. Let's go ahead and come in here, and we have paragraph selected. I'm gonna unlink that, and let's go ahead and make this smaller. I'm gonna make it like size 15 just for now, because I wanna have a little bit more content on there. We're going to unlink this from an H3, and we're going to make it even smaller as well, make it 24 as the size. And just to kind of be proportional, we'll go ahead and bring this down to maybe like a 14 or maybe even a 12, because it's just kind of subtext that isn't super important in relation to the title and then the information about the course itself. Course titles are usually pretty long too, so I'm going to go ahead and say long course title, just because it's going to be longer than course title, I would think. All right, let's come in here and I'm going to right click one more time. I'm going to say plugins, lorem ipsum, auto generate, so we have a little bit more there. If I go back to the wireframe, we have a button here that says learn more, so I'll hit R for my rectangle tool. I'm going to go ahead and drag that here. For our color, let's go ahead and let's make this primary 1. For our border radius, we use 35 here. Let's do something a little bit larger. Let's say like 55. And then I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and I'm going to click with my text button by hitting T, and I'm going to say learn more, exclamation point. We'll make this white. We'll also make this way smaller. We'll say 12 for right now. Line ourselves up in there. Actually bring this down a little bit. Maybe bring this up a little bit more. If I click on this text and hold shift and hit the button itself, I should be able to align things vertically and horizontally as well. Maybe try making this a little bit smaller. Let's try 30. Let's try 20. Let's try 10. That looks better to me. All right. Let's see, we need something inside of this circle, and I have all of these different icons down here. So for this first one, let's just grab this map, and then we'll come back over here to the mockup itself. And inside that circle, I'll click and I'll go ahead and paste. We'll maybe hold down the shift key and make this a little bit smaller. Make sure that we're lined up. And now we have our card for the course itself. One thing I know that I want to do is that I want to actually create what's called a box shadow on this. So I can hit the effects button. That's the very first thing that pops out. Now this dark color is not going to necessarily work great on here, but we'll see how that all fits together in just a moment. So with this rectangle, I'm going to go ahead and select all of these things here. If I were to click my component key up here, I now got this new component, and we'll go ahead and call this course card. So now let's go ahead and grab it, copy, paste, and now we can drag it down here. I'm going to go ahead and place it. And I'll grab another one, copy and paste. Grab another one, copy and paste. Now if I go ahead and select these, we can make sure that they're lined up. Let's see if I can bring them a little bit closer together. Don't know where the distance tool is between things, but that's okay. Looks like I had an option for kind of tidying things up here. So it looks like it's going to center things out for us. But I can grab here, that's right. All right, so now let's see if it will let me move this. There we go. And I gotta be honest, we're a little bit off, I think. I don't know about you, but it kind of feels like we have way more space on the left-hand side than we do on the right-hand side. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and grab the entire frame. Let's hit our column so that we can see, and we're right, we do have a lot of extra space on the left-hand side compared to the right-hand side. So let's just go ahead and keep bringing these over. That looks like we're aligned, and we get the tool telling us obviously that we are in the middle. So we can go ahead in that case and turn our columns back off. So now they're hidden. And now we have these different course cards. So let's come in here and change some information. Obviously, if I were to come in here and click on the master and let's say, go ahead and grab this secondary color and change it to accent 1, it's going to change them all. But if I want to come in here and start changing individual pieces of content, I can. So for this long course title, I'm going to go ahead and double click and change this to geography. We'll call this middle school geography. I'm going to come into the second one here. I'm going to call it web design. I'm gonna come to this one and I'm gonna call it Intro to CS, or maybe we'll call it Comp Sci, just so it kind of fills things out. For grade levels, I'll come in for the middle school geography and we'll say 7th. And actually maybe we'll write it all out because I have it in caps. For web design, we'll say 7th and 8th. And then for Intro to Comp Sci, we'll say the same thing, 7th and 8th. All right. We can leave this filler text here because that just is, filler text to make things easier for us. And obviously all the buttons say learn more. We can even see our drop shadows working somewhat well with that blue background. So now we have this page where we have this information at the top. And if we go back to our wireframe, we're looking like we're getting there in terms of the content for all these different pieces. Maybe we want to go ahead and change these icons out. So let's come back to these wireframes. Let's see, I think I've got for the computer science, or the web design rather, I've got this little one here. So I'll come back in, I can double click and go ahead and get rid of that and paste this guy in. And then let me double check the sizes here. Is that right? I think so. Feels a little compressed, so let's bring that down. Looks like this one is 49 by 49, so let's make this one 49 by 49 as well. Perfect. We'll go ahead and make sure that it's nice and centered. Come back to our wireframe. Let's grab this one for our Intro to Comp Sci. There it is. We'll bring it down. We'll go ahead and make it the same size as the others. We'll make sure that we're centered. All of our tools are telling us we are. So now we have the icons for the individual courses that go along with the titles, and we're in a good place. I know I said that in this video we were going to go ahead for the remainder of these class pages and go ahead and design them, but I think just because we had this component that we reused over and over again, this is a good stopping place for us for a second video. In the third one, I'll go ahead and try to forecast and say that we're going to focus on creating these different classes, and then maybe we'll end things out by doing the About page, and then filming the prototype that allows us to kind of navigate through all the different pages inside of our site. Thanks, guys.